I'm told that Alexis and Farryl are here with us. We'll see. Oh, okay. There we go. All right. Hey there. Thank you for joining us. Oh, I got to tell you, one of the things that really strikes me seeing these films we've seen them before, but seeing them all together again and in this package is that you need a certain recipe to open up possibilities. And that's where things like adaptability, accessibility, innovation, and imagination all create opportunities. You need all of those things in order for the recipe to work, right? Whether it's in sports, or it's in making a business, or in making a film. And so I want to get into some of those aspects. Can I start with y'all down there at the end? Okay. Hi. How you doing?
I'm good.
So I got to ask you, it's been a little while since the film was made.
Yeah.
So where are you at in your sports journey? What things are you digging right now?
So this season I started going out, no instructor, just me and my mom. And
how's that been, Mom? How you been doing with that?
Good. I mean, it was always a dream. When last season started, I don't know that we really thought she would improve that much in 1 year. So then when she was able to show she could do it and she truly believed it, last season we were like, we can really do this. You're really skiing. So it's been great.
Yeah, so you're now out there skiing on your own. What are your goals? What are you looking forward to for, let's say, next winter? Because we're at the end of it now, right? The end of the winter season. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I'm going to keep going up there, probably do it just with Mom and sometimes with them if they feel like it.
Yeah. Maybe sometimes without them, if you feel like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I got to tell you, I'm a little bit older than you. Also have spastic diplegia and cerebral palsy, right? Which is the coolest of palsies. Never in my life have I wanted to ski before now. So,
Totally.
I want to give a shout out to our partners at the Adaptive Sports Foundation and for making this screening possible. And I want to ask you, Farryl, if I can get myself up there, will you give me my first lesson?
Oh, of course.
All right.
So will Matt.
You hold me to that, all right? Y'all heard it here first. My mom is going to lose her mind. She's going to... So, thank you. I appreciate that. What's it like, because you've probably seen this a few times now. What's it like seeing your lives up on the big screen?
I mean, I don't love it, but I come. So, it's hard to watch sometimes, but it's a good message, and I like to get it across. So, I come.
Anything to add?
No, I mean, if more people knew about programs like ASF and some of the things that the other, films showed, I think more people would get involved and see what people are capable of. So it was a great opportunity for us to share everything they've done just for our family, the other participants, and other people we know that we've recommended to try ASF. So it's been a pleasure to be able to share their story.
Yeah, and Farryl, can I tell you something? The skiing stuff is impressive. It makes me want to get up on the skis, which never happened before. But the most impressive thing that I like about you and your approach to all this is, stuff is going to get tough. Stuff is going to get frustrating. Stuff is going to get you angry and annoyed. But you know what? Here's what happened. You fall down, right? You get back up. You fall down, you get back up. And I think that willingness to go, all of that stuff's true, I'm going to keep going, is the most important part of that film.
Definitely, for everybody. All of these films demonstrated that, and I think it's great.
Yeah, so thank you for putting yourself out that way. So, Aaron, I want to pivot to you. Now, it's clear from watching the film why you wanted to make the film, right? Who would not want to make a film about Colette, right? She just, I gotta say it, there's no other, she's a badass, right? So yeah, I get the reasoning behind, but can you tell us what brought you into Colette's orbit and what was the kind of the process of the evolution that made your film possible?
A cold email.
Okay.
I mean, I can put it that simply, but I actually knew I wanted to do a film about disabilities. I'm into Chapman in Orange County. I'm from Los Angeles. So this is my debut film, and I had...
Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you. So this is just a project of passion and heart, and I knew I wanted to do a film about a community that I'm a part of myself, but also one that I feel like is underrepresented in the media. And I think that Colette is at a level of a 10. She's an entrepreneur, and she has this big business. And I saw that, like, with as much recognition as she gets, it's only from the disability community, not from those who may not know about her bakery. And I thought, like, it goes so far to where it's successful, but then I want to make a difference. And that goes beyond just the community, but it goes to the entire world. And that's an example with her in the films in this room. But ultimately, I found her because there's no films or no bakeries on the West Coast, no companies that are really owned by people with disabilities. So
And why not?
Right, and that was the unfortunate part, is I had to search all the way to the opposite side of the country in Boston to find her. And then also just the communication and logistics, being a college student and my first film, not the most appetizing of flavors, but I showed her what my influence was and my background, and our relationship is one that has lasted until this day, and we still FaceTime or talk every day.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So it's really about building relationship, right? And trust between you all.
100%. I feel like that was my initial thing, was just being friends with her. It wasn't so much about making a film, but it was about, like, knowing her as a person. And then she just so happened to have a disability and also make cookies.
Yeah.
I think just, like, wanting to be friends with her is what made the film so fluent.
One of the things that strikes me is it's only notable because you haven't seen it before, right? But if all those factors are there for the recipe, if you will, to use a metaphor, then you can see more of it. Right. So I'm curious, what expectations did you have going into making this your first film? I'm sure, not unlike you, Farryl, right? You get a lot of things in your head, a lot of ideas, a lot of anxieties, a lot of like, ooh, this, a lot of what ifs. What were your expectations and how were you surprised?
Great question. My expectations, I don't really think I had any, because I didn't know what it meant to make a film. What I did know is what it means to make a connection to someone that would last a lifetime. And that's just not with Colette, but with the people I come across in my daily life. And then just dispersing that positive energy that I want in return, but the one that I also want to give to others. And I think I didn't know what it meant to make a documentary. I was taught somewhat in school, but then I think just using your own personal experiences to tell stories. We all tell stories in the very same way. It's just the way that we look at it in a different light or a different perspective. So I think just seeing that Colette was doing what she has been doing, but she's only getting recognized now because she's starting to blow up on social media, I thought there's so many people like her, I want to tell their stories as well. So how I went back to saying Colette's at a 10, there's people who had a 2 who may not have a business or may not be employed. So my next step is making films for people like that to be seen in the media authentically, and I mean, really just for who they are.
Yeah.
Hopefully that answers your question, but...
Yeah. No, absolutely, and thank you. And I love that in each one of these films, you start out thinking that it might be a story about an individual or a couple individuals or a few, single people, but then you pan out a little bit and broaden the lens, and then you realize how it's connected to the larger society, right? And then how there's ideas we haven't been told, pictures we haven't seen, stories we didn't know. I'm curious to know, similar to the question I just asked Aaron, you might have some ideas, right, when people say they want to make a movie about you, but then they make the movie about you and people see the movie about you. What were your expectations when they asked you and then after actually seeing the film and the response of people?
I was kind of confused when they first reached out to us.
So paint me a picture. What happened?
So we were coming home from vacation, and Mom had this email on her phone, and she was like, "They want us to do a movie." I'm like, what? And so I was confused. And then they did a Zoom call with us, and it just got like clearer, and I just knew that if it was for ASF, I would do it.
Fantastic. I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did. Want to ask you something that maybe people don't ask a lot in these kind of panels, but I think it's important to get a peek behind the scenes as well. What was the most difficult part of making your film?
The relationship with my own self.
Explain.
It was, I say simply, but it really wasn't simple. I think just things inevitably are hard, and especially in the disability community, there's adversity and triumphs that everyone overcomes. And that isn't just for people with disabilities, it's for everybody. And sometimes it's just waking up in the morning and taking it step by step or taking it second by second. So I think when the failures and the triumphs come, it's how I would choose to react to the things that happen in that time. So I think there was like often times where we're like carrying up luggage on a staircase full of snow, thinking like, why am I even here doing this? Like 200 pounds of like luggage. I'm like, I'm not built for this. I'm like too tall. There's a lot of excuses. But then I come back to think to myself like, I'm the only person that can create not only how I feel, but also the environment I set for those around me. So I think being the director of the film, it's important to lead, but also lead to help serve. So it's helping the people around me feel comfortable to speak their story. So the hardest part in making the film was just being able to like look at myself and think, you are the leader, but like you also need to take care of yourself in the process of dealing with several different issues. And of course, there's also like the successes of like eating cookies all day. Maybe not the most healthy.
The 10 extra pounds.
10 extra pounds did help. But yeah, I mean, honestly, it was just like the relationship with myself and knowing like who I was. But I think in making this film, I found more about myself than I knew before. And then Colette just so happened to be a part of like my puzzle and like making me want to keep aspiring to make films like this one.
Fantastic. What about you guys?
Sorry, could you repeat the question?
Just what was the most difficult part of making the film?
I think choosing how much to really share, and we just opened up, and it's hard to know like if it's gonna go across well or if it's what is gonna work for everything. Like we did so many interviews, and I was nervous like how they would all react when they saw it. So that was hard for me to do.
And how did they react?
I don't know.
How do these folks react? Anything to add?
No, I think the film crew made it very comfortable to be ourselves. They asked, as she said, so many questions. It became very natural. But it's a lot to put out there, and I'm glad the way they put it together, that it really told ASF's story, and we were able to kind of show what it's done for us, and then hopefully people understand that it's done equal or more for others.
Yeah.
So.
Again, I think, starting with the personal and broadening it out, right, to the larger culture. I want to make sure there's time for Q&A for you folks. I think, the tagline for ReelAbilities is reframing disability. And there was a lot of discussion with our advisors and our groups and all our people. What do we mean by that? And one of the things we mean by that, especially I think when you think about the prefix dis, right, DIS, that you put in front of disability, I think about it in the way that we think about words like disillusion. If you've been disillusioned, that's not necessarily a pleasant process, but it's a necessary process. And you're freed from that illusion. And if we can free ourselves from notions about what ability is, then we're all better for it, right? Makes us part of a larger community, I think, in a larger movement. Your questions?
Thank you so much for the film. I was just wondering if you could say something about what's happening next with the film. Is it going out in other places, and how can we be helpful to get it out into more places?
Hutsy has a streaming platform. It's Hutsy TV, and it's eventually will be out there. But other than that, I'm not really sure.
I mean, ASF always takes donations. As Tony said in the film, they really run their program through donations, and so hopefully people are inspired to kind of help out the program and help people like Farryl and Matt really take advantage of what they offer.
And probably one of the ways people could stay up to date on the progress and how to spread the word is follow the Adaptive Sports Foundation.
Yes,
They can keep you up to date on the progress, right? Okay.
100%.
And what about you?
I just wanted to share quickly. As I mentioned, this is my first film, so I'm learning everything as I go. But you guys are actually some of the first people to watch the film. Honestly, like you guys are family to me now. So thank you.
So what can they do to help?
Right. So, funny enough, as I graduated college, I ended up receiving an award that's called the Student Academy Award. Essentially, it's the student version of an Oscar. And the Academy of Motion Picture Arts recognizes 3 films from like different categories of narrative, documentary, animation. So we were eligible for the Oscars last year in the short film category for documentaries. But that wasn't the difference I wanted to make. That's the Hollywood stamp.
Yeah.
Now I want to make the difference stamp and like make tangible impact in the disability community. So my next step in doing that is using the film as an educational and advocate tool and resource to help promote, if it would be classrooms, if it would be in the field of medical, or just entrepreneurial of food, whatever. I think it's about collaborating and connecting with people who have been doing this for as long as you might have, but also continuing the conversation and using this film as like a stepping stool to get to that next place of more inclusive like workspaces and just connecting. I think honestly, just like building relationships.
So how can people find you?
We're on Instagram at the 17% film. Percent is spelled as the word, but you can also follow me on Instagram. I'm at AJ Hoops, like basketball. The length goes for good use. But I was also going to mention we actually have. What was that?
You mean LeBron James and Michael Jordan?
Yes, not as good, but like LeBron James.
Just say yes.
Yeah, just so yes.
Yeah,
No,
okay.
yeah. But I was going to also mention we do have some of Colette's cookies here after the screening. Are you going to ask that?
You're gonna have to get in line behind me, people. I'm just telling you. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, anyways, if you feel free to connect with me individually and like the feedback or whatever. I'm trying to connect, and this home away from home is New York, so I'm relatively here, and I'd love to connect with you if you have any interest or wanting to collaborate.
And we'll do more with ReelAbilities. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Other questions? Yep.
Hi, my name is Shaniqua. For Farrah, what's your next sport that you want to do?
I don't really do many sports. This is like my thing, but I can probably figure something else out. They do year-round sports, so I could figure something out with them if I wanted.
What about anything outside of sports you're digging right now?
I like to write, so I do that sometimes. Nothing else really.
Yeah.
I'm pretty.
You got more film panels ahead of you, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
If they want to come back, they can.
Okay. Fantastic.
We have a question here.
Oh, I'm hearing
Hello.
voices, but
I'm over here, up in the balcony.
Oh, there we go. Hello. Okay.
Hi,
Thanks.
my name is Allison. This is for Aaron. I'm familiar with Chapman University because I worked with someone on a film who went to Chapman. But anyway, my question was multiple. How many people worked on your crew with you? Did the school provide you a budget, or was it all on your own? And any other details about your senior project? I imagine it was your senior project or the project of how the process went with the school and the crew and the people involved from the school.
Thank you for asking. I'll put it in the numbers of 15, 7, and 1,000. So we had to make the film under 15 minutes. We had 7 days to film. And the crew, I didn't mention that number, but the crew was 4 of us. But on field in Boston was 3 of us. And we got $1,000 worth of budget from our school. For those of you who travel, you know 1,000 gets you to Boston and back. That doesn't include all the extra cookies we pay for and all the other things. But no, so it was a very nitty-gritty film, and I mean, maybe it doesn't show that way through the screen, but behind the screens, it was definitely a place of love, and just we had very minimal resources. But I think when you like have a family or a community that supports you, it really goes a long way. So I believe that answers your question. But yeah, 7 days of filming. We took the first to meet Colette. I hadn't met her in person until we got there. So everything we had there, we had to use. We couldn't go back. 7 days was our maximum. So that was my time in Boston, and then the rest sparked off into a whole life that I'm beginning my next chapter in.
And nothing focuses the attention like a deadline, right? If you had 7 months ahead of you, you could take all this time and think of all these different angles. But you got 7 days, you got to like do it.
And then we edited in 1 month.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's just like we had like 40 hours of footage, and then it's just confining that into 13 minutes. So you can imagine how many tears and cookies were ate through the whole process of like just in bed, cookies crumble and just tears falling down. But it was honestly, like it went to something that I knew I wanted to do, and now is a time where I've done the hard work, and to me, like this is the like next step in making things worthwhile.
Fantastic. I think that's it. So thank you very much for joining us this afternoon.